Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now.
We're at the Huntington Public Library, and it's our first local author showcase. And we have about, how many authors? About 28 authors. 28 authors.
We wanted to put an event together locally because we get many requests from local authors to have book signings and to meet the public. And we thought this was an original idea to gather all the local authors in one event. And if it goes well, we would love to have an annual event.
Big Ideas is the name of my children's show. I do mostly performing in schools and libraries to teach children about educational ideas, big ideas such as character education, multiculturalism, bullying, the environment, family issues, things like that. So, big ideas.
I started studying Chinese on my own about 10 years ago, but it certainly is a challenging thing to get your mind around, and came up with my own spin on a way to help remember the Chinese characters, which really is probably the most daunting thing to deal with when you're studying Chinese. The idea is to take I settled on the 2,000 most frequently used characters, arrange them in order of complexity, and then it becomes clear that components that appear in the earlier characters reappear constantly in subsequent characters. So if you can create a memory story, a mnemonic, to help you memorize the earlier characters, you can then use the earlier characters to learn mnemonics, which help you learn the meanings of the subsequent characters. It seems to work pretty well. That's how I'm not only the author, I'm also a client.
Well, the original book that I wrote back was a nostalgic look at Huntington Station. And then when they asked me to republish that book, I said, too many things have been left out. Because we have eminent domain came in, urban renewal came in, and they were very concerned that they destroyed all these buildings. In the meantime, they didn't realize they were destroying a community. So my idea was to try to bring it to the people's attention as to what urban renewal and eminent domain did to certain areas. What they should take away from my book of Life in a More Simpler Time. That there is great importance in our religion and great importance in our family lives.
Well, the first book, and the one that's coming out in hardcover I'm very excited about, is all about color blindness, a guide to color vision deficiency. I started writing it, researching it, when my son was in preschool, and I found out he was colorblind. And there was no resource for me, or for him, or for his teachers, to help him in early learning. Where colors can be confusing. Everything is color-coded in nursery school, kindergarten, first grade. And I didn't want him to think that he was not that smart. I wanted him to know it was color confusion.
So I have a few of my novels, and I'm also a filmmaker. So I have a couple of my movies and my new movie, which is a documentary about the Civilian Conservation Corps. It just finished and just starting to show around Long Island.
I'll talk about the one I just had published. It's geared for young adults. It's a suspense, thriller, kidnapping story, and at the center of it all is a racehorse, which is the purest character, and this horse brings everyone together. And I write from experience, because I used to work at the racetrack as an exercise girl, and in conjunction with teaching high school. So I have relied upon my experience, mishaps, to be able to create this story that's poignant and hopeful at the same time.
When I stepped into a classroom over 33 and a half years ago, I had the most hilarious stories to tell everybody. They were rolling in the aisles, and everybody said the first day, you have to write a book. So I kept a notebook with me, and I wrote down phrases, and every time something funny happened, I would say to the kids in class, can I use this someday for my book? And they'd say, sure. I had one boy in Richmond Hill High School who was a wannabe gangster, and he would greet me in front of all the other teachers. He'd go, hiya, doll. And he was like my Uncle Louie, except I didn't have an Uncle Louie. And I dreaded ever having this kid in my class. Finally, one spring, I see his name is on my roster. And there goes the neighborhood. Louis, Uncle Louis was in my class. And he was really actually an asset to the class. He was a character and he was a wannabe wise guy. But he added so much.